Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be talking a bit about Mr. Surfer. So there are some good news and some bad news. Let's go first check my surfer out. So let's actually talk about the good news first. Now he's actually amazing for World Boss, specifically against Cull. Now he cleared stage 76 Cull with marked cards and with this build. Let's check his stats out. Pretty poor attack speed. Critical rate is almost capped, needs around 4 or 5% more. Crit damage virtually capped, everything else is capped, which is fine. ISO headset is stage 11. We kind of missing like 5% from there. Custom gear is CTPD. Now let me first say, you don't want to put CTPD on him. I had this on him from before. Now uniform is actually normal. Now you're gonna have, like, when you mythic this, you're gonna have like additionally 15% more attack, plus you're gonna have all those uniform options. You can go like offensive or defensive with those. The guy is pretty strong for World Boss. He's he's pretty much as strong as Sharon against Cull. If you guys know my World Boss chart, actually, let's pull it up. You can see right here that Surfer is actually doing like the same stage, the same Cull stage as Sharon. He's better than Luna, he's better than Magneto, and Surfer has a bit of a room to grow still. He's not maxed out, he has a normal uniform. So I'm pretty sure he can do like probably 77, 78 Cull when he's maxed with CTPD, and with Rage he actually can easily do 85 now. And this is against, like, let's go check out my Luna and like my Magneto. Check Magneto, everything is maxed pretty much. He has a Rage on. Check my Luna, pretty much everything is maxed. Rage on. Look at this. Obese. 8 of those. Look at my surfers. Urus. Like, just health heal obese, right? I mean, those are like mythic energy Urus, but that's pretty much it. And legendary crit damage Urus. That's pretty much it. He's a monster. Now that being said, he actually has a kind of a problem with regular proc. Now this is a how do I put it, a two-faced problem in a sense. So if one of those faces, quote unquote, did not exist, the problem would not manifest. One of the issues, one of the faces of the problem is his cooldown on his skills. Check this out. His 5th skill, 8.5 seconds cooldown. His 4th skill, 8 seconds cooldown. His 3rd skill, 9 seconds cooldown. As you guys know, a regular proc has 7 seconds cooldown. Now this creates a bit of an issue. Now you guys probably are like, yeah, but like just run around 2 seconds and wait for your cooldowns, man. What's the big problem? And you would actually be right, unless the other face of the problem, the tier 3 skill. This goddamn thing has million hits and lasts for 2 days. Let's check it out. Let's charge it real quick. All right. Okay. So we're ready. Now, check this out. So you do your tier 3 skill, right? You cancel it with whatever skill. And watch this out. Now those hits are tier 3 hits, right? It still is coming. Those hits are still coming. Still coming. Still coming. Still coming. Still coming. Well, you see, this is probably 10 seconds, if not more. Now what's gonna happen if you just run around and wait for your 5th skill to come off cooldown is some of those hits from the tier 3 is just gonna activate your proc. And now instead of losing only like 2 seconds running around, you essentially lose the whole proc, which is 7 seconds. You have to wait for the next proc now, which is huge, obviously. That being said, there are some things you can do. Now I'm gonna give you 2 different rotations. The first rotation is, how do I put it, a bit more interactive, requires for you to make some changes on the fly depending if the proc is on time or a little bit late. The second rotation will be a more standard, where you don't have to change anything. But let me just tell you, so I did like something like 15 runs against Cull, and every time, comparing those 2 rotations, every time the first rotation that I'm gonna give you, the riskier one, the one that you need to make some changes, was giving better results. Now I cleared stage 76 with 50 seconds left with using the first rotation, and with the second rotation, the safer one, the more standard one, the closer I came to that is half a bar at the finish. So I'm gonna leave it to you to decide if the difference is like huge or not that big of a deal. Now that being said, here's the rotation. Now obviously you're gonna start with, there are 2 ways you can start. You can start with 3 canceling to 5, delayed canceling to 4, or the one that I like more is 5 delayed canceling to 4 into 2 and then do the 3. Right now, one important thing is you always want your 3rd skill to essentially be active, because you have accumulation there for 10 seconds, and the skill is like on a 9-second cooldown. So you pretty much always want it to be on cooldown. Just use it constantly. So you're gonna do that 2 times, the 5 delay cancel into 4, and then your tier 3 skill is gonna be charged. Now this is the first rotation, right? The first version of the rotation. Now let's first see the perfect situation. The perfect situation is actually kinda, I guess, a little bit counterintuitive. You don't actually want the proc to activate immediately. You want the proc to activate like around 2 seconds late than usual, and this is because if it activates a little bit too late, that means your 5th skill is gonna be ready to be used for the next proc, right? So essentially what you want is you want to do, now this is we're talking about the perfect situation where your proc is gonna be late for you. Now this is the perfect situation. So it's 5 delayed cancel into tier 3, the proc is late like 2 seconds, now the proc is active, the guy comes down, there's 2 seconds to the end of the proc, you go into 2, you go into 3 cancel into 5, delayed cancel into 4, and boom, you're gonna have like huge damage with that big ball that came from the tier 3. It's gonna be amazing. Then you go into your 2nd skill, and then you go into the 3rd skill, and then into 5 delayed cancel into tier 3, and you can do this always. Now yes, but actually no, because obviously not always your proc is gonna be late. So now this creates a problem, right? When your proc is not always late, it creates a problem. Now let's see what you're gonna do when the proc is not actually late, which is gonna be most of the time. There are two things that you can do. Now the first thing is just risk it and wait for your 5 to come off cooldown. Right, just like hope that those hits from the tier 3 don't activate the proc. Now you're gonna see in the gameplay later on that I actually take this approach sometimes, and I kind of lost a couple of procs to that. So you have to assess the risk and just kind of like, I guess, do whatever you decide at the moment. Or the second version is like, the second thing that you can do is just skip the 5th skill and go right into the 4th skill. Now this may sound bad, super bad, because your 5th skill is actually the keystone of the rotation. Like this is the best thing for you. Like it has the 65% all defense down. You need that against world boss, right? Now why is it not so bad? Let's go back and check that skill. Actually, you see 5th skill has 65% all defense down that lasts 10 seconds, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna use White Fox as a leader. Now White Fox has increased something along the lines of increased debuff effects by 40%, and additionally it has increased the duration of the debuffs by 24%. Now that means that your all defense down is not gonna last only 10 seconds, but it will actually last 12.4 seconds. Now keep one thing in mind: you cannot substitute Voodoo for White Fox if you want to do this, because Voodoo has only the debuff effect increase, does not have the debuff time increase. All right, so what's gonna happen is, so essentially you're still gonna have that all defense down for the proc with only your 4th skill. So essentially this is the second approach that you can take. Let's see, let's just charge the tier 3, right? So what's gonna happen is like 5 delayed cancel into tier 3, it procs immediately, so you cannot wait for your 5th skill. There's 2 seconds to the end of the proc. You go into 2, you go into 3, cancel into 4, right? You proc here and all cool and dandy. You go into the 2 again, and then you run a little bit until your 4th skill comes off cooldown, and then you do 3 cancel, 5 delay cancel into 4, bomb. You proc here, then again you go into your 2nd skill, you go to 3, and then you keep going with your tier 3 rotation, right? Now this was the first version of the rotation, which is like a little bit more risky, right? Where you need to make changes, right? Depending on how you procced, if it was early or late. Now the second version is, again, let me repeat, second version is definitely weaker in terms of damage output, but it probably is easier to understand and you don't have to make any changes. So essentially, right, again, you're gonna start with 5 delay cancel into 4, into 2, into 3, blah blah blah, whatever you're gonna do, that's 2 times, right? And your tier 3 should be ready. Now what you want to do is you wanna kind of like proc without the 5th skill, just with your 4th skill. You're gonna do something along the lines of 3 cancel into 4, or you can just let your third skill run, right? Let's turn the AI on, something like this. Bam. If it procs here, it's nice. If not, do your 4, proc here, right? So it's gonna proc here, and now you're gonna wait for the proc to have like 1 second to the end of it, right? And then when there's like 1 second to the end of the proc, you do 5, a little bit more delayed cancel, like 2 seconds, into tier 3, right? Now it procs immediately. You go, when there's 2 seconds to the end of the proc, you go into 2, into 3 cancel, into 5 delayed cancel, into 4, right? So essentially it's kind of like the same rotation, but the only difference is you have to do one of the rotations with only proccing on 4 without the 5th skill. Now this is why this is bad, is again, your 5th skill is the keystone of your rotation. That's what enables all that damage, and you're not doing your 5th skill for one of the rotations. Now when you do this into 4, when you proc like this without the all defense down, you essentially you're not doing any damage here. You're pretty much gonna do some minuscule damage, right? So that's kind of like, in a sense, almost a missed proc, right? A missed rotation in a sense. So that's why it's not as good as the one that requires some interaction. But that being said, I like him against World Boss, even with regular proc. Now, obviously, I forgot the best thing you can do to fix this problem is just put a rage on him. He's gonna be a beast with rage. You don't care about the proc with rage. Obviously, you don't care if like your tier 3 is gonna activate the proc, and in that instance, actually with rage, your tier 3 is actually gonna help you to proc instead of hindering you, in a sense, right? So it seems like, sadly, for PvE, for the best results, for a significant increase in his performance, you kind of need a rage on him, which is kind of a bummer, but what can you do? This is Netmarble. Alright guys, so that's about it. I don't know if I'm gonna put a rage on him. I may just go into, like, just remove the CTPD and go into regen for PvP, even though he seems like he's probably gonna be a top 5 clearer for Cull. Actually, I don't know if he's gonna be a top 5 for anything else. Maybe Corvus, but I'm not sure. Now I'm talking about like with rage. With CTPD, no, he's not top 5 with CTPD for sure. But the CTPD is pretty much equal to regular proc obelisk, right? With energy probably would bump his damage a little bit, but not hugely. Think of energy kind of like 30% increase, around like 20-30% increase. No, 30 would be too generous. But with rage, he definitely will be top 5 clear for Cull, maybe for Corvus too. I don't think for Ebony he's gonna be top 5, but I may be wrong. I did not play against Ma at all. The team I'm gonna be using is, we talked about White Fox already, and as a support I'm gonna be using Philowell. The team I'm gonna be using for the gameplay part, the team I'm gonna be using is White Fox lead. We talked about that already, plus Philo. Philo is pretty much the best support for him because he doesn't have any additional skill damage and bonus damage. Plus, Philo is gonna give him that plus additional all attack, unless you have rage on him. With rage probably Coulson is gonna be better due to the guaranteed crit. Also, let me mention another thing. I'm gonna be using like the first version, the first rotation, where I take a lot of risks, and you're gonna see there that I'm actually missing quite a few procs, and at times things get dicey. At the end, I almost die, and I died, I think, one time, and I lost his passive, right? But I was gonna die second time too. And here's the problem against Cull with Surfer. He doesn't have super armor, so at the last phase he gets pushed around like, you know, constantly. So it's kind of gets like a hard playing against Cull at the end. But that's how it is. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you again next time.